Compassionate ministry, one of the core values of the ministry, of the Vineyard. I love talking about this because it really brings out this is Vineyard at its best. Through the years, no matter what the disaster is, one of the things I love, and I happen to know, is that Vineyard churches are always immediately trying to understand, how can we help? How can we help? How can we help? And that's on the big things. That's like Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Sandy, and the other natural disasters that happen up and down the coast of the United States, tornadoes, floods, and things like that. But the fact of the matter is, compassionate ministry happens in the very nitty-gritty of the everyday life of churches all over this country. You don't have to tell Vineyard churches they should be compassionate. The national office gets inundated with phone calls, emails, and people want to know, how can we help? How can we help? I love that. I love it, and we don't mind directing them towards other agencies that are doing disaster relief or helping in any way that they can. But I love it that it's so spontaneous. It's not something that we have to send out cards to remind people, make sure you're compassionate this week. Life in the Vineyard is an endless extension of compassion to the poor, the needy. There are so many, when somebody wants to address a social issue, instead of complaining about something that's going on in society, they bring the solution instead of just pointing out what the error is. If for an instance, a Vineyard church that happens to take a real issue with abortion, instead of saying how bad abortion is, they bring a ministry for single moms, and a ministry for people that are in that situation, an alternative. Nobody taught the Vineyard how to do that. That has become part of the natural expression when someone is hungry, when somebody is marginalized, when a child is just living in systemic poverty, and all they need is somebody to actually tutor them in English, which might not be their first language. Realizing that if you could tutor that child, you can get them so they could really, make an adaptation to English for their educational system. Because if they're living in this country, then you might have just helped a child take a step out of systemic poverty. But that's not something we have to send a note card out to tell the Vineyard to do. Compassionate ministry is a core value, and it is one of the things I would say that is the deepest into the very bones and marrow of Vineyard churches all over this country. I love hearing those stories, and it tells us that it's not something cognitive. It's something the very essence of who the Vineyard is. Yeah, it's a great story.